When I first heard about this book, I was directly intrigued by it, and that was because of the title. The courage to be disliked, and I thought, that sounds like a different take. Like we should actively seek to be disliked. So many problems come from caring too much about other people's opinions. Even though we all know that if you are looking for approval on the outside, instead of inside yourself, you are trapped in this never-ending terrible search. If you're new here, then hi, my name is David, it's very nice to meet you. And on this channel we explore ideas and tools that help us along our journey to live more happier, healthier and more productive lives. For me, this book is a clear 10 out of 10. I recommend it all the time. And if you're struggling with people pleasing or want to live a happier life, the concept out of these books, even though they are quite controversial, will make you a happier person if you can apply with it, if you resonate with it. Okay, let's start with the plot. I'm going to read the beginning to you. On the outskirts of the 1,000-year-old city lived a philosopher who thought that the world was simple and that happiness was within the reach of every man instantly. A young man who was dissatisfied with life went to visit this philosopher to get to the heart of this matter. This youth found the world a chaotic mass of contradictions, and in his anxious eyes, any notion of happiness was completely absurd. So the youth is very cynical, and he represents the reader in a way, because he is challenging the ideas of the philosopher. The old philosopher combines the schools of ancient Greek philosophy, such as Plato and Socrates, as well as modern psychologist Alfred Adler. Do you know Alfred Adler? I'm sure you know Sigmund Freud and Carl Gustav Jung, the early forefathers of modern psychology. Actually, they don't have been a duo, but a trio, and the third one in the trio was Alfred Adler. He was very influential, but his theories were always quite controversial. So everything you hear in this video you should take with a little grain of salt. The book says that Adler, as well as Socrates, favorably solved their problems in question-driven dialogues, the so-called Socratic dialogue. Adler did it in a cafe in Vienna, and Socrates did it 2,500 years ago in the street of Athens. And that is how the book is written. A 5-night-long Socratic dialogue between the youth, whose doubts mimic the doubts of the reader, and the philosopher who is representing Adler's ideas, basically. Big idea number 1, trauma isn't real. Yes, that's a very clickbaity title, but let's look at it at first. Let's start with ideology versus teleology. Freud saw humans as unable to change themselves due to their past, which eventually can lead to nihilism. Adler, on the other hand, saw humans as driven by present goals and not by past causes. That overturned the idea of causality, of cause and effect. Trauma isn't real. I don't know about you, but I can totally relate with that from my own personal story. You know, when I was 13, I ran away from home and I got put in a kind of childcare situation where I basically lived with heroin addicts. So within a few years, I managed to destroy my life completely, you know, like with addiction and homelessness and you name it. So even when I got out of that, I still had such a negative self-image and felt like I was not lovable and just the worst loser in the entire world. Until a few years in my self-improvement journey, when I realized I am not what happened to me. You know, maybe I went through some shit like we all have to do, but that's not who I am. I am transformed through that. I stand for the transformation, and all this pain is going to help me fulfill my purpose in life. So that was a big switch. I even remember the moment when I had this shift in my identity. Out of the victim state and into self-realization. Adler framed it as the difference between the feeling of inferiority and an inferiority complex. Feeling of inferiority is a launch pad. I'm not educated enough, I have to study more than anyone else. That's enabling. Inferiority complex, I'm not educated, I can't be successful. That would be an excuse. True would be, I don't want to succeed because it's too scary and too intimidating to make this switch of lifestyle and identity. So what happened to you in your past is maybe not your fault or your responsibility. But clinging to these emotions is, especially if they are dragging you down. Because every experience is neutral at first, until you give it its meaning. You maybe cannot always control what is happening to you, but you can always control the meaning you give the things. So that was idea number 1. Idea number 2, that one blew me away. Every problem in your life is an interpersonal relationship problem. There are 2 ways of seeing this, in my opinion. On one side, you could say, obviously there are problems that are not interpersonal, such as getting sick, for example. On the other side, you could argue it becomes an interpersonal relationship problem once you dig deeper. In that example, being sick could lead to uncomfortable conversations with your boss or your coworkers, for example. Or at home, you couldn't support your spouse with the kids as well. For Adler, everything is connected with interpersonal relationships. Everyone has to deal with their friendships, love and work relationships. There's no chance to avoid it. You have to confront them. The philosopher says when you avoid relationships, you avoid your life's task. Oftentimes we make things up in order to dislike someone, so we don't have to connect and have to go into an interpersonal relationship. And when you cling to those made-up stories, Adler calls these life lies. No one is free of life lies. So let's look deeper into interpersonal relationships. Adler differentiates between vertical and horizontal relationships. Vertical relationships originate by praising or rebuking. Both is a form of manipulation, both will put yourself in a higher hierarchical position than the other person. Because you are the one who judges. The person with the ability judges about the person without the ability. That way you create vertical relationships. It's hierarchical. Instead of horizontal relationships, which are defined by being equals but not the same. How we do one thing is how we do everything, right? So be aware, if you start building only one vertical relationship, before you even know it, you will treat all your relationships as vertical. Next one, big idea number 3, being useful will get you over the feeling of unworthiness. Adler says if you want to get over the feeling of unworthiness, you have to feel that you are beneficial to the community, being a proxy for humanity or for your family. Knowing that you are useful for someone else is what gives you awareness about your worth. Here it's very important to understand this is not about your actions. Someone can be useful just by existing, a loving grandparent or a baby, for example. So the key is to make the switch from attachment to self to concern for others. So from self-interest to social interest. 3 things are needed at that point: self-acceptance, confidence in others, and contribution to others. It starts with accepting how and who you are, and then focusing on what you can change, rather than on the things that you cannot change. Adler calls this the separation of tasks. And that's actually Stoic philosophy as well. The philosopher then quotes Kurt Vonnegut when he says, "God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to always tell the difference." Next is confidence in others, and that means to trust them without doubt, without needing a security, like a bank needs a security for a loan. Confidence is the opposite of doubt. And what kind of relationships are you building when there's always doubt in your eyes? People can feel this and have an instinctive understanding, this person in front of me has no confidence in me. If you want to have a deep relationship with somebody, you need to trust them unconditionally. And yes, of course, there will be a relationship where you will be taken advantage of. But that is the necessary thing to do. And that's kind of your empty money to be paid if you want to have deep, horizontal relationships. If you find yourself in that position, that you're disappointed in someone that you trusted, be sad or whatever emotion you want to feel, but at least you now have clarity on what that relationship truly was. Better sooner than later, and know that all your other relationships are benefiting from that. You focus on your own task and other people focus on theirs. Adler says it's essential to have unconditional confidence in others, because they are your comrades. And if you see other people as enemies, you have not yet attained self-acceptance. Because that comes with a feeling of community and fellowship. within yourself. So essentially, self-acceptance equals to be self-reliant and to be conscious that I have the ability. So that's an interesting idea to think about, that self-worth equals being of use to someone. Adler says there are two main objectives for human behavior: to be self-reliant and to live in harmony with society as an individual. German philosopher Hegel said it is only in social contexts that a person becomes an individual. So the key takeaway for me was that authenticity will lead you towards your most competent self. Authenticity is polarizing, and it's therefore only natural that people will dislike you. Furthermore, I would actually say it is actually a good sign when you start to getting pushback on your journey, because that means you are really speaking your truth. You are courageous enough to be disliked, to be yourself. So far on this YouTube journey, I only got positive results. Just kidding, like my friends shit on my videos all the time, and obviously I get hate comments. But from now on, I will appreciate it, because it shows me I spoke my truth, I were brave enough to be myself and not trying to people please all the time. So I hope you liked the video, and if you disliked it, you can off. So here's a video of my top 5 spiritual books. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ciao and thanks.